Welcome to the In the Pocket podcast. I'm Logan Martin. That's Max Sturman, Xander Cook. It's been a while, but we're back for an NFL draft video. This time we're going to talk about the AFC and team needs and what each team is searching for when it comes to their draft position and who might be available when their pick comes. So, if you are listening in, tune in. You listen to the Naheem Hines podcast interview, the Jamon Dubose podcast interview, and you enjoyed it, or any of our other videos, content, whatever it is, leave a like, comment, subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate it, and all the support is helping us grow our channel and keep coming back with more videos. So, AFC, we'll start with the Raiders, number one overall pick. Who you got,
Come on
Max?
now.
I
Give
mean,
me not
this
who are they
is
going to pick, but what do they need and why?
what do you think they need? I mean, it's the most
Everything.
obvious. Yes, they do need everything, but your number one pick is 100% a quarterback. If they do not draft Fernando Mendoza with the number one overall pick, there are serious problems with that organization, which there are. But I think that they're at least smart enough to understand what they need. The Geno Smith experiment did not work out. The Pete Carroll experiment really did not work out. And so they have hired Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks. That is a smart offensive mind. He knows what has to happen. He knows he's got to go in, and before he can do anything else, he needs to go and get that team a quarterback. Now, they do have offensive line struggles as well, and so I can definitely see them making some trades to get higher up in the draft with a second pick and drafting a good offensive tackle or someone on that line that is going to help Ashton Genty in the run game, but also Fernando Mendoza, or if they somehow go away from him and choose another quarterback, which I don't think is very likely. Whoever their quarterback may be, they're going to get him help and give him some time to adjust to the NFL because he could take some hits. Fernando Mendoza really got roughed up in that national championship game, and we saw the toughness that he has. But the number one thing is go get that quarterback and then start working around it. So, two biggest team needs to me. Obviously, they need the quarterback. They need some offensive line help if they can make it happen, maybe through trades or free agency. And then also they need to go out and get a star wide receiver. Maybe not like someone who's crazy, crazy, crazy expensive, but someone who's going to accompany Brock Bowers in that passing game well.
Yeah, before I
Yeah.
kick it right over to Xander, let me ask you this. If Joe Alt was in this draft class, do they take him number one?
No. You
Really?
nope, you're drafting a quarterback. You have to
Really?
draft a quarterback.
Interesting. I just don't I thought I'm gonna kick it over to Max to Xander, but I thought they might take an offensive lineman just if they had it like a offensive lineman available that was worthy of a number one pick, but there is no number one pick
Well,
at offensive line right now in this year.
another thing is the free agent quarterback class. It's pretty ass to say the least. I mean, you get Malik Willis out there who has honestly
Good
shown a
point.
lot of upside in
That
his
man
time,
should be starting for a team. Let's just throw
Great
that
point.
out
and
there
he
right
will
now.
be. And mind you, when we get to a certain team, that will be a name that is going to be mentioned.
When he
But
gets paid, he's gonna be overpaid though. That's the thing, I think.
I don't think
yeah, I
so.
think so too. I think so too. And with this team, I think they do it. But nevertheless, yeah, Raiders absolutely need a quarterback, and that quarterback is none other than Fernando Mendoza, coming off the national championship with Indiana. Now he's a hyped number one prospect. It's a shoe-in. What better way to get Kubiak a quarterback? You don't want him to get paired with Geno Smith. Geno Smith is in his 30s. He's a turnover machine. He's a large part in why the Raiders were so bad this year. Now he's the head coach. He's going to want Fernando Mendoza, and I think that pairing is going to be amazing. Kubiak's a guy who is a bright offensive-minded coach. He was with Seattle, won a Super Bowl with Seattle, made Sam Darnold and that honestly the whole entire offense look really, really good throughout the entire season, especially against some of the top defenses. I mean, we saw them against the Rams, and they were putting up 30 against the Rams. So I'm really excited for the trajectory of the Raiders, especially with Tom Brady as a minority owner. Now you have Kubiak as your head coach who brings that offensive IQ to the team. And now you're going to get Fernando Mendoza, and he's going to be the quarterback for the future. It's a team need. what better way to do it than drafting a national champion as your number one overall?
All right, number 2 pick, we got the New York Jets. Max.
Oh man, you roll the dice, man. Roll the dice, and whatever position that
Can't
lands
go
on,
wrong.
you really cannot go wrong. Um, Very surprised that this team, first of all, very surprised that this team did not hire or did not fire Aaron Glenn. Um, I was very shocked that there was not a coaching change there after a defensive-minded head coach comes in and the defense fails to put up a single interception on the season, becoming the first team to ever do that. So, with that being said, while I do think that the quarterback room probably needs an upgrade, I'm focusing on the defensive side of the ball and specifically looking at those corners and safeties. I think that they need to really attack that secondary, especially with guys like Josh Allen and Drake May in the division who are going to throw that deep ball and torch those guys. Um, yes, you need a quarterback that can keep up with them, but they need to establish a viable defense that can keep them in games first, especially with a defensive minded head coach who um, I think really hasn't shown much. He needs to show that he can build a solid defense that will keep them in games. You could talk about edge rushers too. They could use some edge rushers. Their whole defense really needs an upgrade. They were one of the worst defenses last year. But I do think that corner and secondary, that is where you begin with this Jets roster, and then you just keep going up through the positions until you get to the rest of your roster. Because, like I said, you could uh, pick a card, and any position you go after is going to be a good upgrade. But I think the biggest need right now is that secondary.
With me, I think the biggest need for the Jets is edge rusher. You're in a division with Drake May and Josh Allen. You're in a conference with Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. These guys love to scramble, and we saw it with Josh Allen. We saw it with Drake May. If you have them lining up against a defense that can get to you in just 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and force you into some throws, bad things happen for those quarterbacks. We saw it with Drake May against Seattle in the Super Bowl. Drake May was pressured every freaking passing snap, and the Patriots offense completely fell flat. If I'm the Jets, I'm going edge rusher to attack Drake May, to attack Josh Allen, to attack Patrick Mahomes. They, I think, with that number 2 overall pick, give me David Bailey out of Texas A&M going to the New York Jets. This dude
You
is a
spoiling your
running.
mock draft.
Oh yeah, I'm spoiling.
I'm gonna cut
Okay,
that
it's the
out.
number 2 pick. I'm spoiling my number 2 pick, but give me David Bailey with that number 2 overall pick. He is a running back lined up as edge rusher right now. He's got the quickest spin move I've ever seen coming out of college as an edge rusher. That dude, as soon as he hits that little jab step spin move, he's right there at the quarterback. He completely freezes up the opposing offensive lineman. They go high, he goes low. He overtakes them every single time. I think that should be the pick. Absolutely, that should be the pick because not only one, it's going to satisfy the front line a little bit, but two, it's going to satisfy a head coach who is a defensive minded head coach in Aaron Glenn. So I think that's where they should go for the draft with their number 2 overall pick. But don't be surprised if they somehow draft Ty Simpson with that number 2 overall pick.
What? Stop.
Don't be
You know what?
surprised.
That's not crazy. That's not crazy to me at
That's
all.
not crazy.
No, that's not crazy to me at all.
Have you guys?
Listen,
We've seen it in previous draft
They
classes
might as well
where
drop back to the 30th pick of the first round if they
So,
want to. I mean, they got the
we've
16th
seen
pick
it
in the
with
first
previous
round. You can get
draft
them at the
classes.
16th pick.
we've seen
this
it
is
with
the New
previous.
York Jets we're talking about. This is
Well, hold up. Not only that, it's what I mean by that is they need a quarterback. We saw all year that offense was horrendous. It was, I think, the second worst offense in the entire NFL. Maybe third worst offense. I know it was Titans, Raiders, Jets, and Browns as one of the worst offenses. But They didn't do anything with Justin Fields. They didn't do anything with Tyrod Taylor. There's a stretch of games where they failed to hit 150 passing yards. Isn't that right?
Yes.
So they need a quarterback.
Do they go after Malik?
They could go after Malik, but we've seen drafts where quarterbacks, all they had was one insane combine and they skyrocket in picks. We saw it with Malik Willis with the Titans. We saw it with Kenny Pickett with Pittsburgh.
Danny
He's
Dimes.
terrible pick. But we've seen it happen before. And if Ty has that awesome combine, I think the Jets, there's a possibility. I'm not saying it's a high possibility, but there's a possibility that they go QB number 2.
It
All
is
right.
it's definitely a hot take, but it's also something that I could totally see happening.
With the number 4 pick, we got the Tennessee Titans. Max, who you got?
Yeah, they're also a very defensive needing team. I think that edge rusher and cornerback are probably their two biggest needs on the defensive side of the ball. But at the same time, you also got to go get your guy in Cam Ward a wide receiver. You need to give him somebody that he feels good throwing the ball to. That offense was terrible last year. And we saw that defense actually start to come together at the end of that season and work a little bit better and hold teams to less points. I still think that pressure on a quarterback is very important for that Titans team to give Cam Ward more opportunities on the field. And I think that they can't go wrong trying to boost their secondary as well. But to me, wide receiver is that number one pick for them.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I would like to see them go wide receiver to give Cam Ward a better option. But I think they also go edge rusher like the Jets. You just hired Robert Saleh. He is going to want to beef up that defense. He's a defensive-minded head coach. Jeffrey Simmons, one of the best interior defensive linemen in the entire NFL. He had 11 sacks this past season. But you look at the edge rushers or just anyone to compare Simmons with on that front line, no other guy has reached double-digit sacks in their career. Saleh is going to want to change that. He, like the Jets, he's in a division where you have, you have CJ Stroud, but he makes plays with his legs. You have Trevor Lawrence in that division. You're going to want to get after these quarterbacks, and Titans need an edge rusher.
I think they need to attack a couple of different spots. It could be defensive back, it could be receiver, it could be edge, it could be somewhere on the offensive line, interior. But there's no one worthy defensive back going at number 4, and they really need to help their number 1 overall pick. So I can see him going receiver. I just don't have him going receiver. I have him, I have him sticking to the defensive side of the football. I feel like they can, with a deep receiver class like this is, it's not heavy on top end talent. I think we can all agree on this. This isn't like the last few years where we've had a for sure top 5 pick at receiver. Back to back years, whether it was Neighbors, Harrison, and I'm probably missing a couple others like Brian Thomas Jr. He was a stud. Anyway, they need to help their number 1 overall pick, but it's a deep receiver class, so I think they can get a receiver in the 2nd or 3rd round. You know who I really like? Zachariah Branch. I think the kid out of Georgia, he's going to make his name known in the NFL, and he's probably going to sneak back to the 2nd or 3rd round. So if you can get a player like that, maybe you need to get him in the 2nd round. Who knows? But deep receiver class, you can wait. I think they need to go on defense because that defense is really good. Why not stick to what's good? You got a year of Cam Ward underneath his belt. Go out and get a receiver deep in that class. Maybe get someone in free agency. Who you got, Max?
Well, I already said that I think that they're going to get a wide receiver.
Oh,
So
sorry.
who's up next
What do
team?
you say,
Cleveland Browns?
Xander? Sorry. Wait, didn't you already say?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
I
both
said edge
went.
rusher.
We both went.
Yeah, no, I thought you said, yeah, I was like, no, you already said receiver. Go ahead, Xander. My fault.
What do you mean? I already
We,
went.
we already went, bro. We're waiting for the next team.
Next team, we got the number 6 overall pick. We got the Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
All
So
right.
I'll kick it off. I mean,
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
let's be entirely real. Xander already alluded to it. Cleveland Browns were one of the worst offenses in the league last year. They had quarterback problems, but their real problem was not having an offensive line and not having any receiving weapons. So I think they're going to try and thug it out with Shador, Dylan Gabriel, maybe even Deshaun Watson if he's back, considering how much they're paying him. So I don't think that they're going to attack the quarterback position in this draft, especially with how bad it is. So I think that they're going to go ahead and go offensive line. And I won't say who that I think they're going to draft, but there are several guys up there that are really going to be very intriguing for that Browns team, whether they want to go tackle or whether they want to go guard. There are several options up there. Wide receiver, they could also draft there if a certain guy is still available. But I think that in order to be successful in this draft and in this upcoming season offensively, or at least have more success than they did last year, these quarterbacks who are in their second year, or Deshaun Watson, who's coming off an injury, needs to have a better offensive line in front of him. So I think that they go with a tackle or a guard.
Yeah, and I see that route too. If it's not receiver, it's going to be the offensive line. I think they got to go receiver because you look at years past, that receiver room has been horrible. And now you got Jerry Jeudy, he's coming off the worst year of his career, and he still is your number one receiver. Again, it's a deep receiving class, but if Carnell Tate or someone else like that can
Yeah.
slip to a pick like this, you have to take him over an offensive lineman. Uh, it, again, they're in the same situation the Cincinnati Bengals are in. The Bengals have to draft the defensive players. The Browns have to draft an offensive player, so vice versa, same situation. They have to draft on one side of the ball. Browns need help on offense. They need to help Shador Sanders out, or else the media is going to be on his ass next year because it already was on his rookie year when he had no help and he was thrown out there to be eaten by wolves. So that's my take. They got to get some receiver help. And
The
again,
media is on his ass because he got the freaking worst Pro Bowl bid of all time. That's why.
well, whether it was warranted or not is debatable, and I think we stand on the same side of that. But you know what I mean? Like again, they're going to be loud no matter what. So just imagine
Yeah.
what it's like if he's really bad. So you got to help him out. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm
they
with
might pressure him
Logan.
into having to bench him and putting in Dylan Gabriel. And let's be real, do we really think Dylan Gabriel is better than Shador Sanders? No,
No.
no. So that could just cause crazy chaos.
I'm with Logan on this one. I think Browns need a target receiver with their first draft pick. They're probably going to stick with the route of Shador Sanders. If they don't, then I mean, if they don't, it's just a classic Browns move.
They
But
got a lot of money tied up in Diddy Watson.
A lot of money. Diddy money tied up in Diddy
Yeah, they do.
yeah, they have to go receiver because, like Logan mentioned, their number one is Jerry Jeudy. What can we expect out of Jeudy in
Fumbles,
2026?
drops.
Right? Like he's coming off of his worst season of his career. Who knows what to expect out of him in 2026? He was solid in Denver, terrible with Cleveland. Who's to say that he's going to have a bounce back year? So you, if I'm Cleveland, you're giving him a stud receiver with that, fifth, sixth overall
Six
pick?
pick. Yep.
Sixth pick, yeah. And it's going to be Tate or Tyson or Lemon, one of those three guys with that sixth overall pick. And honestly, any of those three guys is a home run pick. I think all three of those guys are going to make names out of themselves in the NFL.
I'm not that high on Jordan Tyson. I really like Lemon and I really like Carnell Tate. I think Carnell Tate's my number one receiver. Two is Lemon, and three would probably be Tyson. I just think, Tyson, you see all those crazy catches downfield. There's only so many of those you can make in the National Football League. We saw
I think with Tyson, it's those downfield catches. He's so competitive. He's got a great vertical. You throw up those 50-50 balls, more often than not, he's coming down with them. And he's got that upper body strength. So,
Yeah, we said the same
I
thing
mean,
about Keon Coleman too.
he's he's not a quick receiver, but he can beat you on those vertical threats just because of that freaking deep ball, that 50-50 ball. So,
yeah.
I like his downfield speed, but yeah, Browns need to go receiver. Help Shador out. He's already got Harold Fannin Jr., who's going to be a stud in the NFL. That's his favorite guy. Give him another guy. make Shador look good in the passing game because he needs it, or else, like Max said, he's gonna have the media calling his name, wanting him out of Cleveland. The fans might call him out of Cleveland. Plus, he's got that Sanders last name. Make him look good.
We got number 9 pick, Kansas City Chiefs, and they're another team that might need help at a lot of positions. I'll go first. I'll be short. Everyone thinks they're going to get Jeremiah Love at the number 9 pick. Let's be real. Is Jeremiah Love a top 3 pick, top 3 talent in the NFL? I think so in the draft class coming up. I think he's a top 3 talent, maybe even 2 or 1, but I can't see him slipping to number 9. Everyone has him getting them here. I can't see it happening. I think they go receiver here, and I think it's another questionable pick. But hear me out. Rashee Rice, we've seen what's happened the last couple of years. Obviously the off the court, off the field stuff. Excuse me, off the field stuff that led to him missing some games, and then Xavier Worthy, the opening game where he basically got his shoulder separated because Travis Kelce hit him on a drag route. They collided, and he missed games. And then he came back in, and he was missing games with an ankle injury. And he's a receiver who's undersized. He's very fast, but he's so undersized that he gets thrown off his routes, and he's not that experienced yet. Maybe he comes out next year better, but he dealt with injuries. He wasn't that impressive, so I see him going receiver. Just to play it safe, make Mahomes look good, but I could also see him going offensive tackle. I think they've needed offensive tackle help for a while now, but I have him going receiver here, and I have it being a selfish decision for Kansas City.
So
Yeah. Oh, go
I
ahead.
I don't hate it, but I have them going running back. I think the biggest position of need for the Kansas City Chiefs is running back. The previous two off seasons has been super lackluster in the running game, and you need a competitive running game in the NFL if you want to win a Super Bowl. It opens up the playbook, it opens up the play action game, catches opposing defenses off guard, especially when you have a guy that can be a game changer. I don't think Jeremiah Love falls to number 9. I have the Kansas City Chiefs attacking that biggest position need in free agency. Hear me out. Kenneth Walker to the Kansas City Chiefs.
I don't hate that at all. And I actually posted a video not too long ago that was just like my hot takes for the offseason. And I said, Kenneth Walker isn't going to get re-signed. They're going to send him somewhere, or he's going to be a free agent and go somewhere. I said the Dallas Cowboys. Now we know that Javonte Williams has been re-signed. So that opens the door for the Kansas City Chiefs if they want to go out and sign a guy like Kenneth Walker to a big contract, considering that the Seahawks are now going to have to tie some money up in JSN, and you can expect that he's probably going to be making $40 million a year. So I don't hate that take at all. As far as my needs, again, the Chiefs are a team that need a lot of positions, but have just been helped out by the fact that they have freaking Patrick Mahomes as their quarterback and has been able to win them those games. You could attack running back. You could attack wide receiver. You could attack offensive tackle. You could attack edge rusher. You could attack secondary. All of those positions are not as good as they could be and probably should be better. I do feel more confident in their defense right now, though. And so for that reason, I think I would also say they need to draft a wide receiver. If Jeremiah Love is there at that number 9 pick and Kenneth Walker has not made a decision on where he wants to go, you absolutely take Jeremiah
You
Love.
have to.
However, I don't think that he falls that far. I think the team right before takes him. Sorry for the spoiler, but I think the Saints will end up with him.
Oh,
Wide receiver, again, you're going to have a bunch of options here, probably at that point between Jordan Tyson and Lemon as your options. But they could also go out and try and bring in a wide receiver. Tyreek Hill, it's been speculated that potentially he could make a return to the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not sure how much that actually helps them with him coming off of a snapped leg, but there's other guys out there you could try and make trades. There's rumors that Justin Jefferson is going to be on the trade block, which is absolutely insane. All those AFC teams are going to try and snag him. And then there's other available targets too. Brian Thomas Jr. is a name that has been popping up a lot in terms of trade talks. So they have options whether they want to trade, try and sign free agents, or draft. But I think that they'll end up drafting a guy at wide receiver at number 9.
next pick, number 10, Cincinnati Bengals. They need some help defensively. Max, kick it off.
Where do you even want to start with this one?
Pick your poison.
Yeah, I mean, you could take any position on the field or on the defensive field and make a good pick here. Um, they need to get pressure on the quarterbacks. I think they got to go edge rusher.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it very, very uh, short. They need edge rushers. I don't think Trey Hendrickson's going to be there. I don't think that he's going to play this year for the Cincinnati Bengals. So you need an edge rusher, and you need an interior defensive line. Then you could start attacking linebacker, corner, safety.
Yeah, I'm with Max. I'm going edge rusher for the Cincinnati Bengals. They could lose Trey Hendrickson in free agency. They could lose Asai in free agency. They could lose Sample in free agency. And they're basically left with what, two first round picks on that defensive front, Murphy and Shamar Stewart. And they have yet to produce. If you lose those guys in free agency, oh God.
Hmm.
That defensive front is going to be horrendous come 2026. But I think they target that 10th overall pick, going edge rusher, because they absolutely need it. Losing those potentially two out of the three, maybe even all three, they have to go edge rusher. That was
So
horrible.
if they draft offensive lineman, is that their pass for offensive pick?
You know what? If they go O line, I wouldn't hate it either
No,
because we
that's a
saw
really good point.
I
Right.
wouldn't hate it because what? That's 2, 3 years in a row where Joe Burrow has had a season-ending injury because that offensive line failed him. I would not hate that pick at all. If there's not a game-changing edge rusher come pick 10, go O-line.
Yeah, I think they need defensive line and defensive back help, either or. More specifically, defensive line. Shamar Store, he came in and he didn't do anything production wise when it came to attacking and getting to the quarterback. And hot take, but I think you'll see a lot of that in David Bailey. I know he has an insane pass rush moves, but he's undersized, just like Shamar Stewart. Could be playing outside linebacker, but he's playing that defensive end position. So we've seen what the undersized edge rusher has done for, it could be a Cincinnati Bengals thing. I mean, that could very well be the case too. So I have them going defensive line as well, but they could also go defensive back. All right. Number 11, Miami Dolphins. Xander, kick it off. Who you got them going with?
I think the biggest need for the Miami Dolphins, I was before this podcast happened the other day, I was thinking two positions that are a glaring need. I was going to say cornerback because they absolutely need corner help, especially when playing Drake May and Josh Allen. But I'm going quarterback. I think the biggest need for the Miami Dolphins is quarterback. And I think they target that need in free agency. Going back to earlier this episode,
Mm.
I think Malik Willis goes to the Miami Dolphins. That is my free agency prediction. Look, they need it because they still have a somewhat competitive team. You just fired McDaniel to go out and get the Packers defensive coordinator. But when you're in a division with two amazing quarterbacks and a conference with amazing quarterbacks, you have to get a quarterback, especially with Jalen Waddle as a receiver. You got Achan at running back. To be competitive, you need a great quarterback. And Tagovailoa is not a great quarterback. He's too injury prone. He makes mistake after mistake. He's not a guy that's going to lead them to the playoffs. And if he does, he's not going to win them a playoff game. So I think quarterback is the biggest position need for the Miami Dolphins. And what better way to fix that hole than to go and grab Malik Willis? And he just fits the system, if we're being for real. I think he fits that system flawlessly.
Miami Malik would be so insane. I would love to
Well,
see
well,
that.
hear me out. I mean, Teron Armstead just went on a podcast to basically describe the Miami Dolphins situation like holding down the power button on your controller, just hitting the reset button.
Yes.
Like so I could see where you guys are coming from, where you're hitting the reset button, where else to go other than quarterback. I I don't mind sticking with Quinn Ewers for another year. And Jeff Halfley came in from Green Bay, and he was known for what he did with his defensive backs over there. Like they didn't have a bunch of stars at defensive back, and he made them look pretty good. And then part of that also has to do with Micah Parsons. But anyway, he's coming in full reset. Could they go defensive back? Could they go quarterback? Yeah. But I see what you guys are saying. I think they do get Malik Willis in free agency, but hot take, I think it doesn't work out, and they trade for Lamar Jackson in the midseason, and they just give up a bunch of picks. And I
So
can see them drafting to set up that trade right here.
I like it. I like it so much because Max and I had a podcast episode
Yes.
where we were going Miami Lamar, bro. So I actually really I
I mean,
fuck with
you
They're
look
that
gonna
at
take,
overpay Malik.
Logan.
we're gonna get to the Ravens, right? But if that new coaching tree does not work out, there is a real possibility that Lamar Jackson can be traded, that he could be on the block there. It's absolutely real, and
I
I'm
don't
not
think
sure
it
that Derek.
happens this season. I think it happens next season.
Yeah, sure. However it shapes out, there is a real possibility Lamar Jackson could be traded in these next 2 seasons here. And I'm not confident that Derrick Henry is solid in Baltimore this year either. He
They
could
might
be a
have to hit
big
that
3-2.
reset button too.
Yeah, I mean, let me just give my thoughts on Miami real quick. It is going to go one of two ways. Either they're gonna try and rebuild, and have it be a faster rebuild by going out and getting a quarterback like Malik Willis and trying to keep Jalen Waddle happy and trying to keep the band together the best that they can. But what it sounds like is that this is a reset, that Jalen Waddle will be tradable this offseason. I think HN will probably hang around, but there will be other positions that are going to be shipped off. And I think you're right, Logan, that their secondary was absolutely thrashed last year, whether it was injuries or whether it was just guys going. I mean, Minka Fitzpatrick is already a trade talk. They lost Holland already. They got to start to rebuild that secondary. So I think they go either corner or safety.
And I want to, right before I go over to the Ravens, because we're kind of talking about both teams right now. And part of the reason why I think Lamar fits perfectly in Miami, other than people predicting it already because of his hometown connections, but hear me out. We've seen the collapse of the Ravens, just crazy stuff that happened, whether it's a fumble at the end of the game, they're losing in the playoffs some crazy way, or in a close matchup, whatever it is, they lose in heartbreak. And it just feels like Lamar Jackson would rather be down in Miami, whether it's a rebuild or not, just chilling, doing what he has to do, balling on Sundays. Doesn't matter if they're 500. He doesn't have to worry about the fans being on his ass because they know they just hit the reset. Like, unless they set it up for him, I think I can see him just being cool and content down in Miami.
Do you think that
It's warm.
then that warrants this question? Do you think Lamar Jackson cares more about the money than he does winning a championship then?
I'm starting to question how much he loves football, honestly. And
Ooh.
it, maybe that might be too harsh, but if you really think about it, man, there's a reason the offensive coordinator who's never coach or called a single play in the NFL is calling him out, like saying like you got to come to OTAs. Like, he's setting the tone. He's making it known throughout the locker room. Like, I've never called a freaking play in the NFL. I'm calling out our quarterback who was a damn MVP a couple years ago. There's a reason he called him out. Think about it. Do you ever see Joe Burrow getting called out like that?
No.
Yeah. Do you
No.
ever see Jared Goff getting called out like that? Matt Stafford? Not
No.
even. How about even Jalen Hurts? No,
No.
not like that. Not about showing up, being a leader, not caring
No,
about the game of
no.
football, doing everything again. It doesn't have anything to do with talent.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
Ocho Cinco got really mad about that whole situation when he found out
I
about it.
disagree with Ocho, but
Yeah, I think that as the leader of your team, and listen, I understand like it's a short off season for us, it's a long off season because we don't see the games until August, September. For these players, it's a very short off season, so they want to go out and enjoy their time. But when OTAs come around, you're the leader of the team. You're the guy that they throw 300, 400 million dollars at. I feel
yeah,
like that's your contract
well,
to show up to uh,
yeah.
optional practices and try and build chemistry with that team.
You're
I,
the quarterback. You signed up to have to go to that kind of stuff. It's not voluntary for the quarterback, in my opinion.
yeah, you
There's only
think of
32 of you guys.
right, exactly right. And you bring up a great point. Guys like Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, they're not skipping those.
No,
They are back in whatever city that they are playing in, ready to go and building the relationships with those teams. And I think maybe that it sounds dumb, But even that extra couple weeks can make such a difference down the line.
Oh yeah.
We see the Ravens. I think Lamar Jackson has 3 playoff wins in his career, and he never has had a super strong connection with one wide receiver ever.
hmm That could be another thing. He'd be better off in throwing to the receivers down in Miami than he is to the receivers in Baltimore. But
Yeah.
one more thing I want to bring up. Think about Lamar Jackson, what he does best, what he's known for, hurdling players, doing all these spin moves, juke moves. He's getting older, man. Football might not, like, he's not going to be able to do what got him here in a few more years, like at the level that we saw in 2019, 2020, whatever year it was. So,
Let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens needs then. Um, I think
receiver.
Yeah,
Go.
I mean, they need some playmakers, man. They need some playmakers on the
Keep
outside.
him around.
Zay Flowers has cost too many games to be the playmaker now, in my opinion. Like he has had great games. He really has.
Be really good too.
But you want to keep Lamar Jackson there? You want to keep him happy? Go get him a number one guy right now. Do whatever it takes to get him a top tier wide receiver. If you don't go that route, one, I think that opens up the possibility for a potential trade mid-season or at the end of the season. Or two, they're going to start targeting the defense a little bit with some edge rushers and interior guys, maybe some corners.
So I'm going to go offensive guard as the Ravens' biggest need. Like Logan mentioned, Lamar, he uses his scrambling ability to attack opposing defenses, but he's getting up there in age, and because he's getting up there in age, he's going to want to stay in the pocket a lot more. We saw with his hamstring injury, in fact, he didn't run the football as much as he did prior to the hamstring injury. He stayed in the pocket a lot more, and he was getting hit pretty pretty good. So I think they target offensive guard to help protect Lamar Jackson. And not only that, you go back to this past season, both the left guard and right guard struggled throughout the entire season, and it was a big reason why the offense didn't have a lot of passing success against opposing defenses is because those quarterbacks were getting hurried every second. I think they go offensive guard, and I think that's who they end up picking with their 14th overall pick.
Yeah, and it's guard or receiver for me too. I don't know. I want to look into it more at more prospects at the offensive guard position, but when it comes to wide receiver, I don't. If Jordan Tyson's available, you have to take him because you can play him outside. Lemon, you can't take him because Zay Flowers is, whether you want to play Zay in the slot or out wide, like Lemon's a primarily a slot guy, so you got to look at. Yeah, I just think Baltimore has a lot of small receivers, so I don't know if you can really go out and get another 5'11" guy and um, have that balance at receiver. But anyway, Lamar Jackson, like you said, this is why you get the guard, and I think you brought up a good point. He's going to want to hang out in that pocket more. You look at his rushing yards throughout his career. Let's look at when he had a booming year, 2019. Like I said, 1,200 yards in 15 games. 2020, 15 games again, 1,000 yards. 2021, he played 12 games, 760. 12 games again in 2022, 760. 16 games, 820 the next year. 17 games, 915. This past year, he had 13 games played, 349 rushing yards. And there was like obviously questions towards the end of the year, like, is Lamar healthy? Like he was refusing to run the football. His hamstring was bothering him, and those things linger. Obviously, he has enough time to recover from that, but you got to get a guard or a receiver. But like Falele, what's that guy's name? He got killed this year, man.
Dude, he was
He was bad.
horrible.
He's probably the worst
He was
guard in the
horrible.
league. So I see what you're saying there. So we'll go to the next pick. Go Colts. Who you got? Who do you need?
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
going. Go ahead, Max.
sorry. Yes. The Colts, we saw quite the resurgence from them last year, and Danny Dimes, I think, given that he comes back healthy and goes through great rehab, is gonna be great for them, and they'll be in a similar position to where they were last year. Um, could they use a little bit of help on the right tackle, the right side of that offensive line, if given Braden Smith leaves? Yeah, probably, but I don't think that's their biggest need. I think they got to focus on the defensive side of the ball. I think they struggled to get pressure on the quarterback last year. So I think if you really want to go after one of those big players, you go after your defensive end, you go after an edge rusher. But you could also do well targeting the interior defensive line or taking a step back and getting some help at the linebacker position. The thing about the Colts is they don't have one position that's just awful. They don't. They're a pretty well-rounded team. So you have quite the variety of players to choose from depending on position or what you want to attack first. I don't think that there's any position on this team that if they don't go out and get help for, that they are going to be a catastrophic team. I think that in order to be a better team, you focus on the defense. And so I say edge rusher right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if they went linebacker or interior defensive line.
Yeah, I'm going linebacker for the Colts. You're about to lose Quiddy Pay and free agency. So edge slash linebacker, I think is the biggest need for the Colts. Like you said, Max, they're a pretty well-rounded group. They are. They don't have
They got
a
good depth
position.
too.
Exactly. They don't have a position that they're bad at. They're a decent team. But I'm going linebacker simply because they do need the depth there. And I think going back to the earlier days, the 2012 to 2017, 2018 days, the Colts always had a top dog at linebacker, and their defense was always pretty or relatively good. So I think they go back to the winning formula back in those days and get that guy at linebacker. Obviously, not having a first round pick sucks because there's a lot of linebackers that are going with that number or in that first round. But like receiver, I think this is also a linebacker heavy class. And I do have them selecting a guy that can transform that defense in that second round. And I cannot wait to let you guys know who that is. Because I think this dude is going to be a perfect fit in Indianapolis.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, looking where they're drafting, let me see what pick they have. Why can't I see the second round? It's not showing me. Well, anyway, looking at what they need a defensive tackle, they need a defensive line player, they need a linebacker, someone the defensive, a defensive back would help as well. You know, looking at this team, you could also go quarterback at some point in this draft too, because Anthony Richardson, what are you going to do with him? Does he even have trade value? You just got to get the kid reps before this guy's career is over. I mean, he barely played any college snaps, and then you have Daniel Jones who had a significant injury last year. So that's a position that might have a question mark above it next year in the free agent in the offseason, excuse me. So yeah, I agree with you guys. I wouldn't be shocked if they go defensive back though, right here. So next team, are you guys cool if we kick it to the Steelers now? Does
Yeah.
anyone go?
Yes. I think it's obvious. We need receiver help. We desperately need receiver help. We had DK and George Pickens paired up together for what was it, like 3, 4 days
Yes,
before we
less than
shipped
a
off
week.
George Pickens. It was a terrible move. Why would you trade GP, man? And of course he finds his career year in Dallas, dude. And then you look at the Steelers, DK had his worst year of his career. And then it was basically DK and friends. Calvin Austin, he was injury prone. When he was targeted, he made some good plays. And then you had to get receiver help mid-season with Marquez Valdes-Scantling. He didn't do anything. You had to target Adam Thielen. He didn't do anything. Roman Wilson, he barely saw the field, and he was a second-round pick. So with the 21st pick, if they do not go receiver, I am going to well, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna be pissed. It was like last year when I said go QB, Jackson Dart, dude, right there at that 20 something overall pick. Get Jackson Dart, and we go Harmon. Sure enough, Jackson Dart looks legit with the Giants. I'm like, dude, of course. I love Harmon though. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, he was really good for
Harmon
y'all.
is a beast, but we need to go receiver so bad. So if Makai Lemon somehow falls to 21, bro, target him. And I'm
Well,
saying that as not only just because history, dude. He's a USC guy. Steelers love their USC receivers. Lynn Swan in the 70s ended up being a Super Bowl champion. Hall of Fame receiver. You look at Juju Smith-Schuster. He went to USC, gets drafted by the Steelers, and he has two amazing seasons to start off his career. And that 2020 season, he was pretty good. Had over 100 catches. So I think if Lemon is there, they go Lemon. And I'm praying to God Lemon falls to 21.
Now, here's my controversy. It depends on whether they're going to stick around with Aaron Rodgers. Is
We
Kirk
will. We're
Rodgers
gonna resign him.
is yeah, I think that's probably what's going to happen, especially given the coaching decision with Mike McCarthy. I
Hmm.
feel like that was set in stone, and maybe Aaron had a say in that too. It was like, oh, I'll stick around if you want to bring in McCarthy. Um, I'm not sure how long the perks are going to keep him healthy though, man. Like I don't see another year. I mean, I didn't see another year after this year, so maybe I'm wrong. But this year, I have to assume will be one of, if not the last year of Aaron Rodgers' career. But I agree with you. I think a number one wide receiver is where you go with this. DK Metcalf, he had his moments, but Xander, you know this. DK Metcalf also had several big drops this year. That
Character issues too.
Yes, character issues as well that have cost them games and have taken him out of games. So uh, I'm right there with you. And Xander, I would not be surprised to see them try and trade up to get Mekhi Lemon. I think that
Ooh, I like
there's
it.
I think there's a chance that if they feel like those first two guys go and Carnell Tate and why am I blanking on the name? The other
Jordan Tyson
Yeah,
or
Jordan Tyson. Yeah. If those two guys go and Mekhi Lennon's still on the board, but there's some other teams ahead of them that are also receiver needy, I wouldn't be surprised to see Mike McCarthy and that Steelers team take a chance on trading up to draft him.
Hear me out.
so
Hear me out. The Steelers trade up to get Lemon. They trade DK to get Lemon, replace DK, and get a second round pick for next year or this year.
One of my hot takes was that DK Metcalf would be traded.
I don't think he's good.
so
Well, I think he's good, but I don't think he's as good as people perceive. Like his route tree is very limited. We've already talked about it. Slants, out routes. Yeah. Come on, man.
I also thought about this. We don't go receiver round one. Instead, we trade a second or third rounder
You could wait.
and we trade for Brian Thomas Jr.
I don't mind
I
that.
also said Brian Thomas Jr. would end up on the
I don't mind
Steelers.
that at all.
I
You
I
need
think
someone. I mean, look at your number three
exactly.
receiver or number two. Like,
Look at our
come,
number two
yeah,
receiver. I mean, dude,
yeah.
I love Calvin Austin so much. He's a speedy guy, but he is not a number two. He is a slot guy. He is so much better as a slot receiver. We need help on the receiving end. Tight
Well,
ends are
imagine
amazing, but
imagine Calvin Austin in like a Khalil Shakir type of role. That would he
yeah,
would
in
get
the
so much
slot.
good production out of that. Xander, I think the problem would be if you do end up trading DK Metcalf or you get Mekhi Lemon and you don't have another backup or another solid number two receiver because with Metcalf this year, all they had to do was double him and he was kind of taken out of the game because of his limited route tree and the struggles he was having with character issues and also being able to catch the ball. So I think you don't really go anywhere if you draft Mekhi Lemon but don't also have a solid number two receiver.
How about the Jacksonville Jaguars? Who do they need? Talking about Brian Thomas Jr.
I'm going D tackle. I think the biggest need for the Jaguars is D tackle. Look, I like their offense. If they do keep Brian Thomas Jr., you already have Jacoby Myers. If
Parker
if I'm
Washington.
Jacksonville, I'm re-signing ETN as well. Offensive line could use a little bit of help, but I think you go D tackle here, and I'm not targeting the draft for it either. I think they go Franklin Myers from Denver in free agency. He's probably the most underappreciated D tackle in the NFL. He helped bolster Denver's defense into being a top three group in the NFL. What better way to help out your defense than to sign him in free agency? Like games are won in the trenches, and I think the Jaguars have to go trenches with their biggest need. It's either offensive line or defensive line, and I think they go D tackle. And I hope they get Franklin Myers, dude, because that would be such a great free agency acquisition for Jacksonville.
I'm right there with you. I have zero argument against that. You got to be in the trenches. You got to be either interior defensive line or interior offensive line. I think that you could potentially look at edge rusher or cornerback depth, but the big needs are in the trenches.
Yeah, you drafted a lot of defensive tackles and linebackers the last few years with your picks. I could see them going defensive tackle as well. I just think where they're at position in the draft, I think they go offensive line and address that. I think Liam Cohen is an offensive coach. I mean, that defense is phenomenal. We saw what they did this past year. That's a great defense. Could they use improvements? Yeah, maybe, but I think more of their improvements could come in free agency with some veteran help. They got a lot of young guys who can play football on that defense. So,
That's
yeah,
what that's what I mean. I mean, Franklin
they,
Myers from free
yeah.
agency.
I mean, who's their? I want to get this guy. I think it's Johnson. I think his name is Johnson. Antoine Johnson. Hold on. I'm gonna cut the dead time out.
Thought it
Let me
was
just get
Antoine
this.
Taylor.
Also,
No,
make sure not to skip the Chargers if we're going in
I
draft.
have them up next. I was gonna do the Chargers, and I'm like, oh shit, the Jaguars don't have a first round pick, so I'm gonna get that out of the way first. Um, it is Antonio Johnson. Antonio Johnson,
Tony.
man, he's the backup free safety, but that guy could have been. If you watch the tape, that guy screams in pursuit down the field. Like you can hear like a whistle coming like behind his head as he's flying to make a tackle. Man, that guy flies right. He's like a linebacker playing safety, but
Mhm.
it says that safety is a position of need that I think they're good, man. They got depth. Maybe a corner. I don't know, but yeah, D line, O line. I see him going O line. We'll go to the next team. Chargers at the 22 pick. It's no question, man. They need a guard or a
Yeah, I was
center.
about to say if they don't go O line, they are screwing themselves over.
You could even go back up tackle. You could even draft a tackle to back up their two tackles that got injured this year because we
Right?
saw what happened when those two came off the field. It was horrendous. So you could pick and you could close your eyes and say, I want an offensive lineman, do this and pick it out like a name out of a cookie jar. And you could be like, oh
Yeah,
shit, that's going to help us get better.
yeah,
So O line, you guys in agreement? Can we
absolutely.
leave this
Yes,
short? Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
Next, we got the Buffalo Bills. Max, man, talk about your squad. What do you need? What's going to take this team to the mother Super Bowl?
Get your ass a wide receiver for Josh Allen, man. Get a wide receiver. It's no question. No question what the needs of this team are. Obviously, there are parts of the defensive side of the ball that need help bad. I mean, we could use a lot of safety help, especially with Jordan Poyer out and Taylor Rapp in the games that he did play this year, not looking great. Cole Bishop did look awesome, so I'm happy that we have him. But no, this falls on wide receiver, man. And Brandon Beane has been given the green light to go out and do whatever it takes to get a number one wide receiver. This is why I think if Justin Jefferson is on the trade block, you are okay with sending 2 first-round picks to get that man. I don't care if it's this year and next year's picks. You trade that away to get Justin Jefferson. If you don't do that, you're using those picks to trade up and get one of these top guys in the draft this year. We have the reason I want to go with a free agent wide receiver though, or trade for a wide receiver is because the draft has not been good to the Buffalo Bills over the last few years in terms of offensive playmakers. We have had some success on the defensive side of the ball, but we have not drafted well offensively at all, really since drafting Josh Allen and James Cook, who was a second round pick. Our first round picks have not been great outside of those 2 star players. Keon Coleman, I don't want to entirely give up on him yet, but he's not the player that we drafted him to be. And I quite frankly think he's on his way out the door after the comments that were made by Terry Pagula, which was just a complete PR clusterfuck. Like, I don't know how
Yeah.
that even happens. The question was asked to Brandon Beane, who was going to give a good PR answer, and then our shitty owner jumps in and decides to say what he said. But Keon Coleman has been a problem. I mean, our top wide receiver, our best receiver threats have been obviously Khalil Shakir, who plays the slot, and then you have Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox, who both each have seen time off the field due to injuries over the last few seasons. Go get yourself a wide receiver. Go get yourself Justin Jefferson. And if you can't get him, Jalen Waddle's next up.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. The Buffalo Bills' biggest need is receiver. You need a downfield receiver. They didn't have a single receiver have 15 or more downfield receptions.
Yep.
Okay? You know how ass that is? They're one of just four teams. Just four teams have zero wide receivers hit that mark. The other three teams were the Kansas City Chiefs, and mind you, Rashee Rice missed a chunk of games. The New York Jets. That's why I said don't be surprised if Simpson is in there at quarterback because big reason why they didn't have 15 or more receptions downfield. They didn't have a freaking quarterback. And Garrett Wilson missed some time. And then the other team is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who we already said need receiver help. So I think the Buffalo Bills, it's clear as day, they need a receiver to accommodate for Josh Allen. They don't have a single guy that can transition that offense from pretty good to elite. They need receiver help, man.
And that's the thing. Like, Josh Allen has been able to make it work and get his team to the playoffs because he is Superman. That's
Dude,
the
not only that, they're scoring 27, 28
yeah.
points per game
Imagine
without a number one receiver. Now
and
imagine that offense with a number one receiver.
look back to 2020 and what they were able to do when they first acquired Stephon Diggs. That was one of the most lethal connections in the league at the
He
time.
had like 32 points per game that
Yeah.
season. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. So you're as a team that has a shitty offense, which I think we need to give Joe Brady a little bit of credit. Where it's due. I've had my issues with Joe Brady for sure on some of his play calling, but ultimately he still with this team over the last 2 years has been a top five offense in terms of scoring, which is incredible considering what they have out there on the field as far as weapons. So if you don't go get Josh Allen a number one wide receiver this offseason, I would not be mad at him for wanting to leave after that.
I also wouldn't be shocked if they go edge rusher.
If fucking that's worked like twice. That's worked twice for them in the draft. It's so dumb. They do
Yeah.
need edge rushers, but that can be they draft well in the later rounds, and I think that that's something that they could address in rounds three,
I
four,
think
five.
I think with edge rusher, they go Bradley Chubb in free agency.
I would love that.
Uh,
I would love that.
uh,
But here's the thing: to do any of what we're talking about right now, they've got to address the cap. They are so deep in
yeah,
cap hell right now. If they want to go get Justin Jefferson, that means at least a restructure on Josh Allen
yeah.
and Deion Dawkins contracts, which I
Do you
think
go the
players would be absolutely willing to do.
do
But then
you
you got to cut
Yeah.
guys like Dawson Knox, Taylor Rapp, Taron Johnson, um, to do something like that.
do you go the route of Patrick Mahomes and you just chop millions of dollars off your contract to free up space?
Josh Allen is a guy that I think would take a significant pay cut to stay where he's at and improve the team. He's a guy that's not like a lot of other quarterbacks in terms of wanting to have endless amounts of money. I mean, his house is worth just over $1 million.
Right.
So, uh, and that's living in New York where state taxes are ridiculous. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, I could see him taking a significant pay cut to get some weapons around him.
Yeah, there's a guy from Missouri that I really like. I think that would fit with the Buffalo Bills. His name's Zion Young. I don't know if you ever watched him play, but I watched him play some top SEC talent and create some plays. I'm surprised to see his name and his overall rank is 38th. I would have expected him to be top 20 based on what I watched on Saturdays. But anyway, we'll go to the number 28th pick. We got the Houston Texans. I'll start this one off. They need a running back because, that Joe Mixon news was surprising. I think it hit a lot of people, especially in Houston, by surprise because it wasn't football. It wasn't caused by football, I don't think. It was just something that was just so, or maybe it was, and it was just something so odd that just
Wait,
couldn't
wait, wait.
heal right.
Yeah,
What
what's the
Joe
Joe
No,
Mixon news?
did he retire?
no, but like he's like January 21st, 2026. Joe Mixon's status for next season remains uncertain after the Houston Texans running back missed all season with what general manager Nick Caserio called a freak foot injury. We haven't seen Joe in a little bit, so I think at some point we'll see him and then we'll be able to reevaluate kind of where he is. And then based on information, we'll see where his status is. That seems very not unconvincing.
What's the source on that?
NFL, the NFL page. It wasn't like he was riding a snowmobile. I remember this. This was the quote that caught my attention. It wasn't like he was riding a snowmobile or anything like that. Casario said it was more of a medical condition or situation that never really didn't improve, maybe as much as everyone would have hoped. I'm not trying to evade the question. That's the reality of the situation. He didn't jump off a building. He wasn't cliff diving or anything. He wasn't doing anything irresponsible. It was just a freak thing. So this sounds very dark cloudy. Yeah, that's not good. So you gotta. I think you might have to go with Nicholas Singleton, the running back out of Penn State, who is ranked as like a top. He's like the 70 something ranked prospect, but you gotta go get a running back. We saw what the Houston Texans' weakness was outside of offensive line. It was the run game. Woody Marks, he didn't show up and replace for Joe Mixon and really ball out like he should have. I think you got to go with a running back, and Nicholas Singleton with Woody Marks is a good, nice combination. You got a 5'9" running back mixed up with Nicholas Singleton, 6', 225 downhill, Derrick Henry-ish. I liked him at Penn State, man. I don't know if he's the 70th ranked. He's probably at least top 50.
So you mentioned outside of offensive line, running back being the biggest position of need for the Houston Texans. And I think right there, that's where I step in and go, yeah, it is offensive line as the biggest position of need. You look at the run game, they didn't have much success throughout the season. They average how many yards per carry? Like 3.1, if that. And then you also need pass protection help. CJ Stroud was getting hit quite a bit throughout the season. So I think they target O-line here. Look, battle is won in the trenches. You need to shore up that offensive line. I think they go guard. Um, Not only do they go guard, I think they go Isaac Seumalo in free agency. He was number 2 and number 4 in pass and run blocking. So I think that's a free agency prediction on my end that the Houston Texans fill up. I think offensive line, biggest position of need.
Yeah, I think it's either going to be a guard or a center that they go after. Two big needs for them. I don't really have any other further argument other than that. I would say maybe defensive tackle is something they could go after, but
Or receiver even.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm reading something right now. But anyway, we'll go right on to the Denver Broncos. They got the 30th pick in the draft, and again, no question, especially after the comments J.K. Dobbins had with the reporters that one. I think it was after the game where he was like, it seemed like he was kind of happy that they lost the game. He just bouncing back with the reporter, like, do you want me? Do you think I'm injury prone or something like that? Like, it was a conversation like that. It was weird. It was funky. But anyway, I think they got to go running back or tight end. I think Evan Ingram is the most overrated tight end in the league. He gets tossed around to these teams. He gets an 85 overall Madden rating, and this guy comes out and does jack shit. He is not a starting tight end in the league. Like, we all hear about, oh my God. See, like, I even forgot his name. I forgot who we're talking about. That's how irrelevant this guy is. Evan Ingram. This guy will go to a team and everyone's like, oh my God, we got a tight end. And then we won't hear Evan Ingram's name for 18 consecutive weeks. So go get a tight end. Go draft that guy out of Oregon if he's available. If not, get a running back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so was it you who during our shows last year said that you were really high on Evan Ingram?
It
Um,
was.
No, yes, and I was, and this was the final straw with me because I've been, listen, no, because I'm glad you pointed that out because I want to be accountable. I do want to be accountable, and I want to be transparent on this podcast. When you bounce around from team to team and you get all this publicity, and Evan Ingram is athletic, take away catching the football and like being able to be out there like consecutively and blocking all that kind of stuff. I thought his athleticism was going to help because of how much play action they run and they use multiple tight ends in some situations. But I was wrong, and this was the final straw. I'm tired of hearing this guy's name come up at the tight end position. Like, oh my God, they got a tight end. And then I don't hear about him. So you're right. I did back him in 2024, 2 years ago, but I'm done now. I'm done. The final straw. I haven't heard that guy's name in 55 weeks. He's not good.
All right, man. Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with taking any skill position player on the offensive side of the ball right now. Cortland Sutton potentially is on his way out. That's what I'm hearing, is that he's probably not going to be a Denver Bronco next year. So wide receiver is a huge thing. Running back, if J.K. Dobbins is out, is another position. Tight end is a big position. That defense can only carry you so far, and Bo Nix is going to be coming off the injury, which obviously it wasn't like a substantial, like you're going to miss 8 months type of injury, but it was an injury that is not easy to walk on for several months after you suffer it. So once he gets back into the gym and back onto the field, like he'll develop and get better to where he's at. But he needs weapons. He needs weapons bad. That was a critique that we all had of the Denver Broncos last year, was that offense just, unless it was fourth quarter and you're down a score or two, this team really couldn't pull it together offensively. So go wide receiver, go running back, go tight end. I don't care. Go
Like it.
get somebody.
Yeah, I'm going running back as well, especially with the injury concerns with J.K. Dobbins throughout the year. He might leave in free agency. R.J. Harvey, he's great in the passing game. In the run game, he's nothing special. So I think they got to go running back as their biggest position of need and try and target that in free agency or the draft, in fact. You just need an in between the tackles runner to pair with R.J. Harvey. So they got to go running back because that run game was abysmal. Uh,
Last pick, we got the New England Patriots with the 31st pick in the draft. And I will go first. Draft anyone on the offensive defensive line next.
yep. I'm going O-line, especially after watching the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no
Especially
question
after
about it.
watching the playoffs, actually.
I mean, not defensive tackle, but yeah, offensive line or edge.
There's no question about it. You got to get somebody on the offensive line.
Even tackle, right tackle.
Yeah, I think that they also will look at options as far as pass catchers, but offensive line, after what we saw in the Super Bowl and throughout that postseason for New England, 100% that is their top priority.
Yep.
So that's all we got. AFC Team Needs video. We'll come back with a mock draft, but next week we'll do the NFC. And then in the week following, we'll do the mock draft. How's that sound, boys?
I
Oh,
like
yeah.
it.
Oh,
All
and we
right.
also have free agency in 18 days.
Yep, and that's coming up. That'll have to be a video by itself as well. So if you like this contact, you like the contact. If you like this content, you like the video, like, subscribe, comment. We're gonna come out with some more videos, some more shorts, and stay up to date with all that kind of stuff. But yeah, peace out. We'll see you guys soon. Yeah, we also got a special guest coming up too. March 9th, we got Xavier Scott, running back for the Minnesota Vikings. So that'll be an exciting one.
Boom.
So
Also, just a big thank you to everyone who has subscribed. Especially as of recent, we've seen quite the growth in our channel. So
yeah,
we're glad that you guys are enjoying the content, and we're gonna make sure to push out as much as we can given our schedules.
yeah, sweet. All right, peace.